Premier League has the concept of Big Six, that is your top six clubs who are the most competitive teams in the Premier League. They are the most dominating teams. They have great signings. They have superstars in their teams. They have great managers. These clubs have really big history, and the way their season goes, the way their players play, the way their transfer market goes, it all determines who wins the Premier League. So traditionally, these six teams have been your title contenders, and how their season goes, how they play against each other, completely decides who wins the Premier League. So by definition, these are your six best clubs in the Premier League, and they are the six best performing clubs in the Premier League. Now, in order to reach the Premier League Big Six contendership, you need to continuously outperform rather. You need to win, you need to be competitive, and you need to show that you're the real contender for winning the cup. Let's take a look at some of the teams in the traditional Big Six. You had your Manchester City, you had Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United, and Tottenham Hotspurs. However, there's been some changes recently, because of which I believe that we need to change the categories. You need to change some of the teams and who qualifies to become the next Big Six. We need to reconsider some of the teams here, because a lot of changes have taken place. A lot of team dynamics have changed. The way they used to traditionally play has become very different. A lot of new signings, a lot of new departures, which really changes the metrics. And we can check the last 10 years to understand who really should be a part of this Big Six. So let's assess some of the traditional Big Six teams, and let's find out if they are if it's worth keeping them to be a part of the Big Six even now. Let's begin with Manchester City. Now, Manchester City has been recently one of the most successful clubs in the world, and I think the most successful club in the Premier League. They have won 6 league titles in the last 10 years. I think there's been only a few differences. That is, one was Chelsea, 2 Liverpools, and 1 Arsenal. Apart from that, 6 titles have been won by City, and out of which 5 were done in a 5-year course. So there were 5 in a row Premier League titles, which really makes City one of the strongest contenders. Actually, it makes City the strongest contender to be the Big Six club in the Premier League. So yeah, City obviously goes number 1, because even in Pep Guardiola's last season, City ended up winning the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. Now, we do have some departures from the club. Bernardo Silva has left as free agent. That is going to be impactful, because he's one of the veteran players. He has been one of the most delivering players, consistency wise, output wise. Pep Guardiola really relied on him, because he was a very consistent player and he was a very clever player. He had great technique. So that departure is going to hurt, and the departure that's going to hurt even bigger is going to be of Pep Guardiola himself. Pep Guardiola, one of the most decorated managers, and I would say probably the best manager football world has seen. He has revolutionized the game so much. He's changed so much about the game and how we perceive the game as it is. But ultimately, he's bid his farewell with the club, and he's going to go out to have some new adventure, some new chapter in his life. We wish him best of luck. But now, how does that leave City in? Now, the manager that they have brought in to replace Pep Guardiola has been Enzo Maresca. Enzo Maresca is a former student of Pep, and he's managed Chelsea for 1.5 years, and I think he's done a pretty incredible job. Now, he has done a great job managing Chelsea, and I think he's going to be a great fit for this Manchester City, because he has his ideals learned from Pep Guardiola himself. He's not going to deviate from the tactics. He's going to continue stick with them. I think he'll just double down on them, and at the same time, he's going to bring in some fresh ideas. His time at Chelsea would have given him required enough experience to handle a big club, how to go about the transfer market, what signings to bring in, how to play, what tactics to use, and one of the best unspoken benefit that he has is one of the rival clubs, that is Chelsea Football Club. He knows how they operate, how they play. He has every report possible from inside as well. I mean, I know other managers, other teams do have their scouting reports. They check how the players move, how they operate. But once you've managed that team, once you know inside out how these players are, how the coaching staff is, how they operate, how they train, you know everything. You have complete knowledge of what they're going to do, what every player is capable of. So that's an advantage, huge advantage. So now Enzo Maresca has an edge over some of the clubs, and that I think City definitely deserves to retain its spots as the Big Six club. Now, let's move on to the second Big Six club, that is Arsenal. Now, Arsenal has not done a lot of winnings in the last few years, but they are the current reigning Premier League champions, which really, I think, they deserve their flowers for that. Consistently, they have been second. They have always given City a tough competition. They have always been the title contender until the very end, sometimes even until the last match day of the Premier League, which is why I believe that Arsenal should really retain their spot as one of the Big Six clubs. Mikel Arteta has done a fabulous job. He's converted this team into winners. He's shown grit. He's shown determination. Arsenal, initially they played really great football under Mikel Arteta, but once people demanded that we need a victory, we need to change everything, because you can play beautifully and you can still lose, and we don't want that. We just want a victory. We want the cup. We want the Premier League title. And I think because of which Arsenal really changed their tactics completely, which is why they were called Corner FC, Dark Arts FC, Set Piece FC. They've really tried to somehow use scrappy goals, play scrappy football, and somehow just endure their way into a Premier League title, which they have finally done. So now I'm really excited to see how they're going to change about it. Now they are the reigning champions, they're the defending champions, and they have to play that well. You cannot still be a Corner FC or Set Piece FC and believe that you can retain your crown, you can retain your championship. I don't think that's possible, which is why I think Mikel Arteta will finally start playing his football. He's a Spanish manager, of course, and Spanish managers are bound to play their game. That is highly technical passing game that requires a lot of technicality and beautiful gameplay, running into spaces, finding your man, finding that gap, and just making short passes into the gaps. So that is how you play. Initially, like I said, Arsenal did play in that manner, but now finally the pressure to win a trophy has been lifted from all the heads of all the players and Mikel Arteta himself. Now, this is what makes it so exciting. Now we're going to finally see some of the beautiful football, the glimpse of which we had seen earlier on, but that had been subdued, suppressed until they win the Premier League title, which they have won. So, like I said, it's going to be really exciting to see what sort of tactics Mikel Arteta uses. So definitely Arsenal retain their spot in the Big Six clubs. The next club we're going to talk about is Liverpool Football Club. Now, Liverpool has been one interesting case study. Jurgen Klopp managed to give Liverpool a Champions League and a Premier League victory at the time when Pep Guardiola was completely dominating Premier League and European football. So under Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, Jurgen Klopp and his Liverpool managed to somehow snatch that Premier League title and win the UCL as well. So that is not an ordinary achievement, that's an extraordinary achievement. Jurgen Klopp is a great manager. He's set a beautiful system. He's brought in some really great players, and we saw the benefits of it. Even after Klopp left, Liverpool managed to win another Premier League title because the system that he had kept in place, it was the players that he had brought in, his signings and his tactics really made that difference. And Liverpool won second Premier League in the last 10 years. And they won in one of the most convincing manners possible. Now, Liverpool's last season has not been great for them or for the fans, and we've really seen Arne Slot fall from the grace of the fans. Same people who used to say, "Welcome to Arne Slot Penitentiary," have started saying Arne Slot has lost the plot, which I agree is true. Arne Slot has lost the plot. But to be fair, at some point, everyone believes he never really had the plot. It was just Klopp's team and Klopp's system that ensured that Liverpool reaches another Premier League title and they win it. So now, after Arne Slot has finally left Liverpool, how do we think they're going to perform? Are they going to still be part of the Big Six? Should we still put them in considerations, or should they be demoted and let some other better performing team come in their place? I believe that Liverpool has a great chance of still retaining their spot as one of the Big Six, the top six, because Liverpool has just signed their new manager, Iraola, another Spanish manager who is a really great technical manager, and he knows how to bring out the best from his players. His time at Bournemouth was really good. He's really brought out some talented players and he brought out their best version. We've seen Bournemouth climb the ranks in the last few years, and I was really going to consider putting Bournemouth in the top six, maybe at least as a consideration, like an honorable mention, or as a real contender to be part of top six clubs. But now that Iraola has left Bournemouth, I think the odds are against their favor, which is why I don't think Bournemouth fall under the considerations anymore. And we come back to Liverpool. Now Liverpool has an interesting case because last season Arne Slot had brought in really lot of signings. The Liverpool board had brought in huge signings, good superstars at huge amounts, like bonkers numbers really, and we got to see no results whatsoever regarding them. Florian Wirtz came into Liverpool. He's tried to integrate. He's been really good, but he's not performed to his best level. You can really see the examples, as in look at Florian Wirtz playing for Germany. He's a complete different player. He's a complete different beast when he plays for Germany. But when he plays for Liverpool, you can see there's something missing. He's not in his best version. And you can see that it's the role he's been assigned, the task he's been given is really different to how he normally plays and what he normally does, which is why you can see that he's uncomfortable in this position and he's not really playing his natural game. I, for one, believe that you need to bring in players and allow them to play the natural game, because that is their most beautiful version out there. That is the best way they can express themselves, and that is ultimately how you get results. Now, Florian Wirtz has played, he's not been bad for Liverpool. He's been good. It's just that he's not produced enough goals and assists. That is going to be a problem because he's an attacking midfielder and people always compare. And in comparisons, it's always about the statistics. It's always about how many goals has your player scored, how many assists has your player given. And that is where Florian Wirtz lacks, because you can say that I can watch him play, I see him play, I know he plays beautifully. It's just that he does not bring in the results. So, but then it falls flat in the face because the huge and tremendous fees that have been given for the transfer of Florian Wirtz, it does not justify the output given. And to be fair, I don't blame the player as well, because it's not, like I said, it's not his natural game, not his natural positions, and not his natural tactics. Now, I think he's adapted to the Premier League. It's just that he needs to adapt to his role in the team. Either give him his natural role, or you need to make sure that he adapts to his new role really well. Traditionally, where Florian Wirtz plays for Germany is somewhere as a number 10. So he plays as a central attacking midfielder and who's somebody who completely shifts to the left wing as well. So he plays in the center space, he plays in the left half space, and he plays on the left wing. So those are his favorite areas. If you look at Wirtz for Germany, he operates in those areas. You can always see him either in cam or an LM position, something which he does not get to do in Liverpool, because Cody Gakpo is an inside winger. He's always occupying that left wing position and he loves to cut inside. So that does not leave Florian Wirtz a lot of space to play on the left, because you already got a player who's cutting inside from the left. And in central, on your cam position, you do have McAllister. I mean, he does not traditionally start at the cam position, but he loves to come up. He loves to come up and just be near the box. He loves being near the final third of the opposition, because he's also naturally attacking midfielder. So that again restricts the space that Florian Wirtz operates in, because there's two players already occupying, and it doesn't stop there. You have Dominik Szoboszlai. Dominik Szoboszlai is also a player of attacking nature, whether you keep him at right back, whether you keep him as a midfielder, or whether you keep him as a winger. His natural game is very attacking, so because of which he finds his way into the box, he finds his way into the final third of your opponents. Now you combine all of that and then include your striker and the right winger, who used to be Mohamed Salah until recently, then you can see what the problem is. There's no space for Wirtz to play. He tries his best to occupy space, but no, he's someone who needs his space to operate. He can carry the ball, he can put out great crosses, but when there's too many players already covering all positions, I don't think words can bring out his best performance in such a manner. But now, thankfully, like I said, Iraola has come to play. I really think Iraola is going to change the game for the better, because he knows what he can do with this squad. This squad is really great, and he can change the game completely. Same thing with Alexander Isak. Alexander Isak was brought in for a ridiculous fee, and he's not performed because he was out injured for majority of the season. He's not been able to do anything. He's not been able to have that impact. And so far, he's absolutely not been able to justify his ridiculous transfer fee. Now, again, it's not his fault because he was injured for the majority of the time. But now there needs to be something. This is another season, another chance. He needs to deliver. He needs to show up. And at the same time, you have Hugo Ekitike, who's another big signing for Liverpool, another striker. I think he's the one who's delivered so far the most. Out of all the new signings, Ekitike has delivered the most. He's been good for Liverpool. He's been really reliable up front. He's scored few goals. He's given some assists. I think he's scored a decent number of goals, to be very honest. And I believe he should be starting striker. If the other starting striker was not Alexander Isak, I think definitely it should have been Ekitike. But to be fair, I'm also of the opinion that if both are fit, if Ekitike is performing in training, he should be given a chance over Isak, which I don't think will be possible because you have paid a ridiculous fee for Isak, like I keep mentioning. So there's no justification whatsoever you can give for not letting him play, because if you don't let him play, what the heck did you give that much fee for? Why are you paying Isak that much? Because his contract is very expensive. If he's not going to be playing, that money is going to waste. So I think Iraola's tactics are going to be keeping Isak until 60th minute and then making a substitution for Ekitike, bringing the fresh legs. That's not necessarily a bad tactic. It's actually a good tactic. 60-minute substitution, regardless of how the team is performing. I think that's going to be great. Or sometimes maybe, if required, he may just substitute the attacking midfielder and bring in Ekitike there. So you have two strikers up front. You have two players up front. That gives double threat. It's going to be used in scenarios where you're going to need a goal to score regardless of what, because you're trailing, the opponent has scored on you, you need to score back. It's some kind of a knockout match, or it's some of the games that you just have to win. You need those 3 points and you just have to win. So in those kind of games, I really believe they're going to be two up front, Ekitike and Isak, and they're going to have a great impact. So now, like I said, I believe Liverpool's going to climb their way back up to the Big Six. And I'm really excited to see Iraola's tactics and how he handles it. This is Liverpool. Moving forward, let's talk about Chelsea Football Club. Now, Chelsea Football Club has done decently well in the last few years, but Chelsea has a problem. That is a manager problem. They've fired way too many managers in recent time. They have fired Pochettino, Tuchel, then you had Enzo Maresca, who was doing great. They fired him as well. Then came in Liam Rossinier. He was fired as well. And now finally you've settled on Xabi Alonso. And I think Xabi Alonso is at least here to stay for some time, because he's not going to be fired anytime soon. Chelsea has burnt a lot of bridges, so there are not too many managers left of that quality and that caliber. Not that many big personalities who are going to come and handle the game for you, which is why I think Xabi Alonso is going to stay for some time at least now. I don't personally understand why Chelsea has fired so many managers left and right. Pochettino's his last season was not doing so well in the first half. In the second half, actually, he brought out some of the best performances I've seen. He brought out the best performance and the best version of Cole Palmer. If you remember the second half of Chelsea's season, you saw who Cole Palmer really was. That name became a household name for every Chelsea fan in that second half of the season. He became the Cole Palmer in that very season. I think Pochettino should have been given enough chance and enough opportunity to prove himself, but unfortunately he was let go. Then came in Enzo Maresca. Enzo Maresca did a really great job. He was making Chelsea great again. He won them a Club World Cup, and he was making them a real title contender, a serious title contender, but he had great disagreements with the board, and he was let go as well. And I think that was a grave mistake. But now finally, you brought in Xabi Alonso. I don't want to speak about Liam Rossinier because I don't think he was a serious manager enough for me to talk about him. And I think his duration, his span at Chelsea was too short for comparison, because when you bring that kind of a manager and you give him a 10-year contract, you need to have some trust in him. If you had trusted Liam Rossinier for at least 2 seasons, I would have even given an analysis. Could have seen what he's doing. You did not give him 5 months. I think he barely lasted 4 months and he was let go. He definitely was. I think he should have been given some time, but okay, all is fine. You've got Xabi Alonso. That really brings out confidence. But there's going to be a big issue now, because Chelsea has lost some of its best players. Chelsea has lost Marc Cucurella, the World Cup winner with Spain. Marc Cucurella has left and has joined Real Madrid. And that's going to sting. That's going to be a big blow for Xabi Alonso, because Xabi Alonso relies on a 3-4-3 tactics. He needs his wing backs, and Cucurella was currently one of the best left backs in the world. He was going to be an ideal candidate for Xabi Alonso's system, because he knows how to attack, he knows how to defend. He can carry the ball, he can make these crosses, I don't think Cucurella really prefers to cut inside, but he loves to carry, he loves to cross, he loves to pass. He can find that space. And more importantly, he complements your left winger. He gives his underlapping and overlapping runs. He stretches the defense out, and that gives space to your attackers to score the goal. Now, Cucurella's absence is going to hurt a lot, because he also contributed in tracking back. He had a good track back pace. He had great technical mind, and he knew how to defend. So it's a complete overall player who is an all-rounder, and he's no longer with you, and you need to find a replacement, but there's not that many great replacements in the market. That's going to be somewhat frustrating, but I think Chelsea can find. But actually, as per the recent news, Chelsea has been fined £10 million, and they are facing 2-year transfer window suspension, which is why I don't think Chelsea is going to be able to bring in any new player anymore. So Chelsea is going to be stuck with the players that they already have, and they're going to be stuck with their academy players. Apart from that, actually, Chelsea's made some great signings as well. Signing of Morgan Rogers is going to be good, because Morgan Rogers is a great player. Morgan Rogers has done really tremendous work for Aston Villa. He's one of their star boys at Aston Villa, and he was the reason, not the only reason, but he was one of the contributory reasons why Aston Villa's meteoric rise has happened in Premier League and overall in Europe. So that's some promising signings, but the signs are not looking great overall for Chelsea. So I don't think Chelsea should be demoted as of now, but they're on very thin ice if they want to continue and retain to be one of the top 6. They want to be one of the big 6. They have to perform this season. If they don't perform, I think after years of mediocrity, they'll finally fall off grace, and some other team is going to pick up the pieces and make themselves as one of the big 6. The next club we're going to talk about is Manchester United. Manchester United has some of the richest history in the Premier League. They have been multiple Champions League winner. Alex Ferguson's Manchester United was the greatest season, not just season, the greatest era this team has ever seen. But I think after that, it's just been a downhill battle, and it's been one battle after another for Manchester United. Now, Manchester United has been playing rather shit in the last few years. I'm not going to mince my words. It's been very disappointing for all the fans. I've got friends who are Manchester United fans, and I can see it in their eyes. They're dead inside. Those eyes, they don't lie. It's very bad scenario right now. But there's a glimpse of hope in the name of Michael Carrick. In the last few years, we've seen Erik ten Hag for Manchester United, and he's not been able to do that great of a job. Manchester United only won an FA Cup under him, and I think there was another trophy that I don't remember, but nothing major was won. He did win that FA Cup, props to him for that, but the position in the Premier League was really horrible. It was a poor performance, poor signings, expensive signings who underperformed completely. Somebody like an Antonio dos Santos was a great like a great sum was paid for him. I think more than £100 million, and he completely underperformed. And finally, he was sold to Real Betis, where he's actually found his footings again. He's found his scoring shoes. He's been phenomenal for Real Betis. I personally love to see players when they redeem themselves, which is why I love the story of Anthony, how he's redeemed himself at Betis. But he completely flopped at United, which brings me up to the fact that it was the signing of Erik ten Hag himself, and Erik ten Hag did not particularly think how to bring him into the system, how to fit him into the system, how to make him play, how to bring out the best in him. Because at Benfica he was really great, and now he's been great again at Betis. But at United he had a horrible time. Now, after that, you had another pool of managers. You had Ruben Amorim, somebody who's a very stubborn manager. I personally think Ruben Amorim's good, but he's only good when his plan A works. He's got one plan, 3-4-3, or maybe a 3-4-2-1, but he loves to play back three, and he plays with wing backs, just like Xabi Alonso likes to play. But Ruben Amorim is completely stubborn. He's very stiff with his system. His system does not bend at all. No matter what happens, no matter what kind of results it brings in, Ruben Amorim does not budge, and that shows. The results were really horrible, and Manchester United, after a long time, had really entered relegation battles once again. You saw an era, you saw a period where United was running into relegation battle. If they'd lost a few more matches, I think United would have been probably relegated from the Premier League, which would have been catastrophic and devastating for all the fans around the world, because United is one of the most globally fan-followed teams. They've got fans all over the world, and it's got a big brand name, it's got a big heritage, it's very rich cultural-wise. If you see some club like that, even if whether you're a rival supporter, if you're a neutral fan or an actual fan, you feel bad. I mean, you don't want a club with that history, that heritage, just disappear into a lower division. You don't want to see that. But I think finally they found their footing again. Michael Carrick is doing a fabulous job. He finally came out and said, no more tactics. Let's just what I also like those. I particularly like those kinds of managers because they play not just on vibes, but they also bring out the best performances from all the players. It's the way Michael Carrick operates United is somewhat the way Carlo Ancelotti operates, because Carlo Ancelotti is not a manager who's hyper technical, who's going to focus on a system and set tactics. That is completely different from a Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim loves his tactics, he loves his system, and he will not change his system for anybody, regardless of the results. Ruben Amorim, I think he was given plenty of time at United, and we need to be harsh with him, because that kind of stubbornness has something which ruined the club and brought it to a relegation battle. That is somewhat of a complaint I have with a manager like Hansi Flick as well. Hansi Flick's plan A is phenomenal. It's great planning. His offside traps, his high line, his ultra-attacking football. It's a great plan A. But the moment it fails, the moment team finds out that how they can beat the offside trap, when they start doing the third man runs, when they start playing in a manner where your high line is your liability, not your asset, that time I think Hansi Flick gets stumbled. He does not know what to do. He does not have a proper plan B, because Hansi Flick does not play with a rest defense. He does not play with a mid block or a low block. He loves to keep the stakes high, which is high risk, high reward. And when the reward does not come in, that high risk you can actually see convert into a high loss as well. Now, Ruben Amorim loves to do the same, but I don't think he's got even 10% of the talent and technicality that Hansi Flick has, which is why Manchester United performs so poorly, because the players are not ready to adapt to those tactics. You need to set those drills in, but if you can see something that is clearly not working out, you need to change your plan, which he failed to do, and which is why I love Michael Carrick and his approach with the current United squad, because Michael Carrick is somebody who loves to allow his players play their natural game. He does not care that much about tactics, and more than tactics, he's all about the vibes. He knows that, okay, Bruno is an attacking player. He loves to go in that space, so he's going to ensure that Bruno gets to go to that space. He gets the role where he gets the ball right where he wants, on the foot that he wants, at the position where he can shoot and score. So he will arrange the game in that kind of a manner. United does not currently have a lot of wide wingers, so he has adjusted the play in a manner where they play with a lot of inside forwards, and the fullbacks have to do the job of stretching the pitch, be the wide winger and stretch the pitch. So they're somewhat of a wing back, but actually they're fullback. But in possession, they love to play in a manner where they can stretch the pitch wide, while you have your forwards like Cunha, Bruno, Benjamin Sesko. You have other forwards who really love to play inside rather than stay as an outside winger and spam crosses. So he's evolved in that kind of a manner. He knows what players he has, and he adapts in such a manner that brings out the best qualities of their players. He turns the disadvantage of not having proper tactics into an advantage, because the opponents also do not know what they're going to do, because it keeps continuously evolving and changing as players continue to get synergy with each other. They'll know how each other perform, how they function, and the more they get synced up in their gameplay, the tactics keep changing, because it's a fluid tactic. That is what I love about Michael Carrick. He's got fluid tactics, and his only rigid formula is allow your players to play their best game. And that is something I really love, and which is why I'm really excited to see Manchester United and the upcoming season. However, let's be honest, United's last few seasons have been completely shit, and they cannot be allowed to retain their spot in the Big Six, as per my humble opinion at least. You can have a differentiating opinion, you can have a very different view than what I have, but I do not feel United needs to be part of the Big Six, and I think we are going to be dropping them from the Big Six, allowing for some other team to come in. The team I think that can replace United is none other than Aston Villa itself. Coming on to Aston Villa Football Club, AVFC, the Lionhearts, the team from Birmingham. In the last few years, they have completely changed the game. They've completely changed their identity, and they have been on a meteoric and phenomenal rise to the top. As long as Unai Emery is there in Aston Villa, I do think Aston Villa is going to be the part of Big Six, and they should replace United to be called the Big Six club. And now they are actually part of the Big Six team, because Aston Villa has been playing above their weight class. They've been punching above their weight class, and they've been winning these fights. They've played really well. In the last few years, if you check, Aston Villa has been overperforming to another level, to an extent that we should believe that this is something that they're going to bring in day in, day out. If you look at all the statistics of the last season itself, Aston Villa was not supposed to win those many games they did. Aston Villa was definitely not supposed to score those many goals they did. If you check their XG, their expected goals are severely less than the actual goals they've scored. And this is because of the managerial genius by Unai Emery. It's your traditional Unai Emery masterclass, that he knows how to tweak the players, how to tweak the tactics and system in a manner that you can outperform against every other team, because the XG is so low, because Aston Villa does not get the opportunity to work the ball into the box. They cannot take the ball into the box and try to score the perfect goal, they can't try to score the tap-in goals, because the teams against them have started to defend in a low block kind of manner. So what Unai Emery did is asked his players that, hey, can you just shoot outside the box? And the players have started to shoot from outside the box, and that has brought them huge results, because now the players have just trusted themselves and started taking the shots. And when that happened, and the other teams reacted to that, and the other teams started putting a mid block, or maybe tried to stop the players from shooting early on, then you switch back to work the ball into the box, find the pass for a guy who's running into the space. And that is how Aston Villa has been playing, because Unai Emery is a reactionary manager. He knows how to manage a game really, really well. He knows when to tweak his tactics, when to tweak his system, and more importantly, he knows how to bring out, again, the best in his players. He's transformed somebody like an Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins was an average striker before Unai Emery, and now he's been great. The last season was not that great, but he started really mid, but he had a strong finish to the season. He brought in some goals at the end of the season. He finally found his scoring boots again. However, if you look at the 2 seasons prior to the last season, he's been phenomenal. Ollie Watkins has scored more than 20 goals in both of those seasons, and he's been really, really phenomenal for Aston Villa. You can see before Emery and after Emery, there's been a crazy difference in the way Aston Villa plays. He's brought in young players like Morgan Rogers. He's trusted them, and Morgan Rogers has been one of the star boys of Aston Villa. He's one of the star players. He really dribbles well. He can play as attacking midfielder. He can play as a left winger. He has also tried, I think, once from a right wing position as well. And the final team that we're going to talk about is none other than Tottenham Hotspurs. Tottenham Hotspurs is another traditional London team. They've been one of the big six for a long, long time, and they've always been competitive in a manner that we all know Tottenham is never going to win the Premier League title. But Tottenham Hotspur will definitely wreck this up for some other contender, because they may not win, but they're definitely going to make somebody lose the title. They're that kind of a team that will sabotage another team's chances of winning the game by doing something, by winning some unexpected matches or losing some place where they're expected and guaranteed a win. So they know how to disrupt. They know how to disrupt the game. They know how to disrupt the leaderboard, and they've been part of the Big Six because they had really competitive players who were top superstars and great signings. They had Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, and a lot of other players. Even the current squad is very good. They have Van de Ven, Christian Romero, Pedro Porro. They have Bentancur. They have Madison. They have exciting young player like Brendan Johnson. They have Dominic Solanke. So it's not a bad squad per se. It's a great squad. They had Xavi Simons as well. Now they have brought in Conor Gallagher as well. So it's not a bad squad. It's a great, decent squad. They've got good players. They can really make their mark. They can definitely be a team that qualifies for Champions League or at least Europa League every year. Now, what the problem is that they have been severely underperforming because of tactics and a lot because of injuries. The way they have been playing, these players have had so many injuries that I don't think I've seen the actual first team play together like 3 matches in a row as well. So injuries has been a big concern, and second concern has been the managerial changes and the tactical changes in the team, because the team right now lacks no identity. They have no tactics whatsoever, and ever since Harry Kane and Heung-min Son have left, it's been downhill for Tottenham Hotspur to an extent where last season they were actually in a relegation battle. United at least pulled out in the last 3 months. They were doing really well under Michael Carrick, but Tottenham Hotspur barely managed to survive. They barely managed to get at 17th spot, I think, and they narrowly avoided a relegation battle. Now this is a second chance for Tottenham Hotspur, but like I said, since they have been fallen off grace, they have all in the last 2-3 years they have faced relegation battles, with last year being actual severe to an extent where till the last few games we thought Tottenham had a chance of being relegated. So that does not really bode well for somebody who should be considered a Big Six team. So we cannot consider Tottenham, and they definitely have to relinquish that title of being a Big Six club. Instead of Tottenham, there are a lot of title contenders here. They've got Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Newcastle. I think Newcastle was the strongest contender here because they've got great signings, they've got great players, really physical team, and Eddie Howe had made so many tactical changes that he's brought out the best from the players. I have said this phrase too many times, I know that, but it is what it is. I mean, Eddie Howe knows that he's got physical players, he's got runners, he's got somebody who are more athletes than technicalities. So he made sure that is their strong foot. They play in a very physical manner. They are aerially very good. They're defensively very good, and their work rate is really high because they are more of athletes than footballers. And they've used those kind of tactics, running up and down, hitting a counter-attack, playing vertically, using that. Instead of keeping a lot of possession, instead of doing short passes, trying to make technical plays, trying to pass into the spaces, instead of that, they've kept it relatively direct, they've kept it relatively vertical, and they're focused on their positives. That is crossing, aerial shooting, and the physicality most of all.
So they've been really good. They've won a cup in the last 2 years. I think they've won the Carabao Cup, which makes them a really strong contender to be one of the big six. However, now Eddie Howe's departure really puts that into question. They've gotten good players right now. They've got Walter Mad, they've got Elanga, they've got Bruno Guimaraes, but he's rumored to transfer to Arsenal very soon. So that's going to be another big blow for Newcastle United. They've got players like Dan Burn, Livramento, and they've got new kids also like Anthony Hall. They're very promising kids. However, departure of Eddie Howe is gonna hit them the most. Is gonna hit them the hardest, and which is why I believe they, even though they got a fair shot at being the top six club, they may not be undisputed top six position. Same way for Crystal Palace, have had a phenomenal rise in the last few years. They've got really great players. They produce really good talent. Some of the talents like Michael Olise already left the club. However, they kept on going. They have Mateta. They have lots of other talented players that they've brought in the last few years. Same for Bournemouth. Bournemouth under Iraola was really good. Now that Iraola has left, I don't know what they're gonna do, but Bournemouth so far has produced a lot of great players. So the way they have scouted players, the way they've used the players, whether academy or brought in from somewhere else, that's something that they've excelled at, and they have overperformed. The Cherries have been replacing Tottenham in the way that in the last 2-3 seasons, I think it is Bournemouth and Crystal Palace who have decided who might win the Premier League, because even though we know these two teams are definitely not going to win the league, they're going to stop somebody else from winning it. In some crucial matches, they're going to do something that's going to change the course of the leaderboard. And that is what they've done. They've been the disruptors instead of Tottenham, who was actually facing their own relegation battles. So the role of disruptor came to these two teams, and I would say Newcastle, but all three of them, none of them make a case good enough to be an undisputed spot holder of the big six clubs. But at the same time, these are the three essential contenders that you have. Because Tottenham is definitely not going to be counted in the big six anymore. So let me know your thoughts, your comments, and if you believe there's any other team, or if one of these three teams deserves to be in the big six.